and dry, and temperatures a lot warmer as winds start to shift out of the south, rather mild for the next couple of days. Tonight we bottom out in the mid to upper 20s, northerlies 5 to 10 miles per hour, some icy spots, and earlier meteorologist Sam Cantrell was talking about just how dry the roads are right now with those breezy winds just drying everything out and that high pressure system pretty much sliding into place. Coming up in my full forecast, I will break down what you can expect for the rest of the week. The great news is the weekend looks a lot warmer and that milder trend looks like it's here to stay. Anna Keith, back to you.
All right, Erica, like the sounds of that. The morning snow caught a whole lot of people off guard. News 8 cameras were rolling in New Haven this morning where people walking downtown had their umbrellas up to protect them from the heavy snowflakes. And it was a very slow go on city streets as cars made their way through the slushy conditions. Not exactly what people were expecting on the final day of March.
This morning snowfall has a lot of people thinking back to the April Fool's blizzard of 1997. Do you remember that? This is video from that storm. It dumped more than 2 feet of snow on Boston and anywhere between 1 and 20 inches in our state in a 24-hour period. Ironically, it happened on the same exact day as today, March 31st into April 1st. Don't think about it.
That's right. No doubt about it. Old Man Winter has been a tough customer to knock out this year.
We have had 13 significant snowstorms since November. So just how much snow do we get this winter? I'm sure a lot of folks are saying too much. Meteorologist Sam Cantrell is live in our mobile weather lab with that. Sam, too much.
Too much is definitely an appropriate thing to say for the amount of snow that we've gotten so far this wintertime. But before I talk about that, let's give you another look at what it looks like outside on the roadways, driving around in the New Haven area. Honestly, we struggled to find a single road that was even really wet. A few of them were, but most of the roadways seem to be completely dry. That's the good news. But the question is, well, what have we gotten so far this season? Check out the graphic I have here for you, showing some of the major towns and some of the other towns around the state. The highest number that we got, and thanks a lot to meteorologist Quincy Vagel, who did put this graphic together for us. Staffordville, 74.4 inches of snow. Bridgeport, 57 inches of snow. Bradley Airport, 50 inches. Stamford, 70. Oakdale, which is in Montville, 57.2 inches of snow. And in New Haven, we saw 54 inches of snow this season. Now, of course, the hope is that we will see no more snow for the rest of the season, or at least that's the hope for me. Those of you who know that I'm not the biggest fan of the winter weather. But the positive news, at least right now, as you're checking out the roadways in front of me, are that many of them are dry. So that's the good news, although Erica will talk in the forecast about what we're watching tonight, and that could be some below freezing temperatures. She'll have that 8-day coming up in just a little bit. I'm meteorologist Sam Cantrell. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Sam, thank you. 4 adults and 2 families being helped out by the Red Cross tonight after a fire tore right through their home in Moosup. Just take a look at the pictures we got through our reported app. These were sent in by Holly. She tells us she was coming home at about 10 o'clock this morning when she saw fire trucks turn down a street right in her neighborhood. According to Holly, the smoke was so thick she could barely see the road right in front of her. At least 5 companies were brought in to knock down the flames. Tonight, there is still no word on a cause of this blaze.
UConn men are on to the Final Four. They made it with a hard-fought win over Michigan State yesterday. That was some game.
It was a great game. Now the women take on Texas A&M tonight. Sports director Noah Finns joins us now with more on both of these real big games. Noah.
I tell you, it looks like it's going to happen again, just like in 2004, 2 UConn teams in college basketball's biggest stage, the Final Four. The men get there yesterday and have once again become the talk of the state. Why? Well, even the biggest and most diehard UConn fans wouldn't have had them making the Final Four, but there they were yesterday at Madison Square Garden, beating Michigan State for the right to play in Dallas this coming weekend against Florida. The winner of that game plays for the national championship. The women, who everyone expects and have expected all season long to make the Final Four, will get their chance to make it a reality tonight. Huskies play Texas A&M, and what's funny is they won their last game by like 19 points, and everyone's calling it a close game. That's the kind of season it's been for UConn.
You probably should expect in the tournament. It's not supposed to be easy. No matter how easy we make it look sometimes, it's not supposed to be easy.
And yet it has been easy for the Huskies. They'll try to keep it easy tonight against Texas A&M. And like I said, this is a huge game because a win and they go to the Final Four. You remember back in 2004, the UConn women won the national championship when they were out in New Orleans. The men won the national championships when they were out in San Antonio. It's very well possible they both may have a chance to do it again.
How good's this A&M team?
They're very good. They're right there in that second tier, you know. There's one team in that top tier.
I know.
That's been established. Noah, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Well, you have until midnight tonight to sign up for health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, or you will be facing a financial penalty. While a new technology problem briefly prevented last-minute users from signing up, there has been a surge of traffic to the site and to walk-in help centers. The White House says that through March the 27th, more than 6 million Americans signed up for the health care through federal and state marketplaces.
If I had stood up before you in November and told you that we would be above 6 million on March 31st, you would have laughed me out of the room.
Officials can't say how many of those who signed up were previously uninsured or how many actually completed the process and paid premiums. Those who are in the middle of enrollment process today by phone, online, or in person will have a grace period to finish enrollment. Another reminder tonight that the long gun rules in our state will change tomorrow. Also beginning tomorrow, hunting licenses will no longer be accepted for the purchase of long guns. They cannot be sold or transferred without one of the following: a permit to carry pistols or revolvers, an eligibility certificate for pistols or revolvers, or a long gun eligibility certificate. Anybody who wants to buy ammunition and not additional firearms will only have to be required to have an ammunition certificate. All permits and certificates can be applied for at state police headquarters. That's in Middletown.
A former congressional candidate and her husband have pleaded guilty in an illegal campaign financing case involving former Governor John Rowland. Lisa Wilson Foley and Brian Foley admitted in court today that they didn't report a $35,000 consulting contract with Rowland because they wanted to hide his political assistance for her 2012 campaign. Authorities are reportedly building a case for a possible indictment of Rowland. As you'll remember, John Rowland spent nearly a year in a federal prison a decade ago for corruption and resigned in the face of impeachment. This was an especially tough day for students at Ram Middle School in Hebron. It was their first day back in school since the loss of 7th grade math teacher Dawn Mallory. Mallory was severely injured 2 weeks ago when she was hit by a parent's car in the school parking lot. She died in the hospital on Friday night. The district provided grief counselors for the students today. Mallory was 65 years of age.
The Montville man who has been in trouble with the law many times may be at it again. This time, police say 23-year-old Jeffrey Cuff was caught tearing up ball fields in Oakdale. Elementary administrator was at the school today to make sure that there were no leaks with a heavy rain, and ending up seeing Cuff driving around on the field with his Jeep Cherokee. Police say Cuff had his 2-year-old child in the car, but fortunately the child was not in any danger.
He decided since all the rain, it would be fun to take his truck out and do donuts in the field.
And damage that field.
He did extensively.
Caused up to $5,000 in damage. They were not surprised to see him behind the wheel because they say they have dealt with him 39 times for a variety of reasons since 2008.
A West Hartford man facing charges tonight after police say he was offering citizenship in exchange for sex. Lay Nee allegedly lured a woman to the Connecticut Coalition of Mutual Assistance location in Hartford and offered to help her gain citizenship to the country. Police say he sexually assaulted her and then held her against her will. Police are now investigating to determine if Nee has ever violated the law in a similar fashion in the past.
And coming up, the woman who crashed her car into a Fairfield gas station faces charges. We'll have the latest on that story.
Plus, the race is on to get a pond drained in Mystic. We'll tell you why. It has officials very concerned. That story after this.
Hey, check, check, check. Check 1 2 1 2. Yes, police couldn't believe it when she showed up at another area. Police.
You're watching News 8 at 6.
Well, tonight a Fairfield woman is facing charges for driving her car into a gas station. Take a good look at this surveillance video that we showed you on News 8 just last week. You see it right here. The woman's car barrels right into the gas station, sending 4 people to the hospital. This all happened at the Cumberland Farms off of the exit 24 off-ramp off of 95 in Fairfield. Police say that woman checked herself out of the hospital and was then arrested this afternoon. News 8's Erin Logan live in our New Haven newsroom this evening with more. Erin.
Keith, police couldn't believe it when she showed up at another area police department looking for the accident report. This investigation is still ongoing, but police say they do know the driver was 3 times over the legal limit. After this fiery crash into a convenience store, it's hard to believe 31-year-old Rosa Blanca Chavaria Medina and everyone else involved are alive. In fact, today she went to the Bridgeport Police Department assuming the horrific accident happened there and not in Fairfield. That's when police arrested her.
Clearly, her perception of what was going on was quite different than what the Fairfield police perception was.
Police say she was 3 times over the legal limit when she drove off I-95 exit 24 into the Cumberland Farms parking lot, hitting a gas pump barrier, a number of other cars, then plowing through the store. They believe she may have been going as fast as 70 miles an hour.
We are very thankful and amazed that nobody was killed during that collision. The video speaks volumes of the fact that such high speed, no braking, in an area that's really pretty active.
Police plan on doing a reenactment of that crash to get more answers.
Our hope is that we can do a model mock-up of the accident at a slower speed to really get a feel for how fast she was actually traveling through that intersection and then into the collision of the building.
Police say she shouldn't have been behind the wheel, period. She has a suspended license and was charged with a DUI once before in Westport.
Our concern is significant that she would get behind the wheel again. So we're thankful to have her in custody, and we're thankful that we can present her in court so that she can answer these charges and hopefully the charges for the prior DUI that she did have.
Chavaria Medina will likely be in court tomorrow facing a number of charges, including reckless endangerment. Now, that reenactment of the crash will also likely be tomorrow, but police say this will not pose any problems to the public. Live in the New Haven newsroom, Erin Logan, back to you in the studio.